The Draken family was notorious within villainous circles, controlling most major English businesses from the shadows and powerful enough that if they so wanted they could bring Britain, and probably a great many other countries, to their knees. But with his reputation came dangers. On a dark grey day, as the couple arrived in rain-sodden London, 2 bullets shot red across the streets and wiped them from the picture. On that day, Emma lost both her parents. On that day she hid from the world, and as her parents were lowered into the ground, Emma stood behind closed curtains. She was afraid to open them, for fear of being seen, or seeing a world where she was alone. 7 years later, and the curtains were still closed, and Emma had learned from her parents' mistakes. She wouldn't be seen, so she couldn't be targeted, so she could truly rule from the shadows. She'd continued the family business through a network of careful connections, pulling the strings and expanding her empire. Emma saw her invisibility as the key to her success. However, this was about to come under threat. The threat came in the form of another villain, an amateur, an American amateur. As Emma watched the clumsy video of angry ranting, she felt her hackles rise. She hated amateurs, but she had to keep watching as this amateur could ruin everything. This amateur had the Draken family insignia presented loud and clear behind her, and like a bullseye this marked the newcomer out as a target. Emma wasn't going to lose to an amateur. Within minutes of seeing the video, Emma had hacked her way into the American's personal details, and in her history found a website of urban legends, headed to the Draken protege. The reasoning behind the insignia's appearance was merely the American being a fan of an urban myth, but it was still a worry for the insignia to be in view again, and for it to be associated with this ridiculous wannabe was sickening. Before we start, I'd like to make it clear that yes, this is a threat. A severe one. The Draken family insignia is not only copyrighted, but associated with the family involved in a tragic incident. Thereby it's rather insensitive of someone like you to steal it. And to those who respected the family, it is rather insulting. And a lot of powerful people respected them. Powerful, dangerous people. Are you getting where I'm going with this? You're out of your league. Take down the video and give it up, while you still have a choice in the matter. Emma had done a few voice messages in her time, careful to make sure she wasn't recognisable, and she'd always got away with it in the end. But this time her instincts kept her on edge. Something was different. Before, though, she had messaged had already been afraid of her, so she'd already had the upper hand. But this time the American was a blank page. And while Emma assured herself that this amateur would feel fear and submit to her authority, there was still doubt. Emma liked being invisible, and even being an urban legend had knocked her confidence. Emma froze. It hadn't even been 24 hours since she sent the message. As the American began to pick the lock, Emma pulled open a door in her room and entered a thin servants' corridor that spanned the entire house. Nearing the front room, she stopped and stared. The American was standing about a metre away. The outside world had finally found her. Barely breathing, she tried to plan a way of trapping, tricking, somehow stopping the American, but panic had set itself into her mind, and she felt like a hunted animal with only flight on its mind. She gently stepped back, but in the dark accidentally knocked a bottle left there by a servant years ago. The soft clink of it hitting the dust was more than enough in the silence, and the American's head cocked quickly towards the sound. Smiling, she moved towards the thin wall that hid Emma from sight, and for a moment Emma pleaded with whatever god or fate that existed that she wouldn't find a way in. But it was to no avail. As the American felt for a crack of a hidden door, Emma ran. Her heart pounded to the beat of her run as she forced her way through the dark, tight corridor, and as her room came into view, she nearly let out a sob. She stumbled through the opening, slammed the door, and locked it with shivering fingers. She listened as the footsteps got closer, changing from a run to a jog and then to a slow walk, finally stopping outside the door. A moment of silence broken only by the intense breathing held the two of them in tandem. Suddenly Emma heard soft footsteps carry on along the corridor, and momentarily confused, she then realised she was finding another way in. Then Emma heard a crack behind, and the window was suddenly wrenched open and the curtains pulled apart. The light flared into the room, and she tried to see through her squinted eyes, but felt a cold numbness seize her as she realised her reality. Finally, I thought I'd never get to you. The American jumped down from the windowsill as Emma stared, shocked. I can't believe you're actually real. I mean, I've had daydreams, but this is really happening. You are the Draken protege, right? Please, please, please say yes. Emma was stunned. She'd expected the American to act, well, American. But this confidence and ease of speech left Emma looking awkward and unsure, which were both correct at the time, but still, she was used to power and being in control. Don't you realise who I am? My parents. I am the most powerful person in the country. I could ruin you. What I have done, you could never understand. You're just... The American watched as Emma struggled. In the video, she had seemed so confident and powerful, but this person before her was more. She saw her flaws and fear, and the American smiled. This confused Emma further, feeling mocked. Don't you get it? I'm dangerous. I'm evil, messed up. At the age of 12, my parents were murdered, and I had to carry on a business based on manipulation and fear. It turned me into someone who can do the things most people find unimaginable. I mean, what did you expect, coming into my space? Did you expect me to welcome you? I came here because I need help. And now I can see I'm not the only one in need.